And what is going on, boys and girls? It's your man, the one and only, the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders, coming at you with an all new The RCWR show. It's our post show edition as we're talking WWE Fastlane Fallout for this Sunday night of February 21st, 2016. Welcome, one, welcome all. We're doing this special simulcast for you guys live on Spreaker right now and also on YouTube. We got to make sure we try to show YouTube a little bit of love. I know I haven't really been that much active on there within the past several weeks. So come on, come all, interact with me for the next little bit as we are talking all things WWE Fastlane, as I'd love to hear from you. Couple of ways you can interact with me. Let me know your thoughts about the pay-per-view. If you disliked it, liked it, in between stuff. Twitter at the RCWR Show. Give me a follow on there as well. We also have the Spreaker chat room that's active. If you're checking this out on YouTube, you can definitely post your comments down below. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with the YouTube Google demigration, if that's even a word. I just know, like, when they separated a couple of months back, it's just made the commenting system a bit batty, as now some of us are experiencing delays in seeing what you all have to say via YouTube. So, but you're more than welcome to try to post comments on there. I promise I'll do my best to respond to every single one of you, be it live or if you're going to be ending up checking this out on demand. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. A lot of ground that we got to cover. All right, so this was it. This was the final pay-per-view event, pit stop, if you will, as we are now officially 45 days away from WrestleMania 32. Can you guys feel it? Are you excited? Are you remotely excited? Usually this is like the Super Bowl of wrestling pay-per-view events. It only happens once a year. I will try my thoughts on what I hope is going to be a pretty solid WrestleMania card on our Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show. But for now, I definitely want to get that dialogue open with you all as far as if you're looking forward to WrestleMania. Fastlane, I have to say, this is a new pay per view still. I don't even think it's 5 years yet. I don't believe. I think they're probably approaching what, guys? Three? I'd be surprised if it was year four that we had got this fast lane. Somebody look that up for me when you get a chance and give me the correct info, and I'll make sure I give you a shout out. But it does seem like with each fast lane, the quality it gets better and better. I'd have to say this was overall, it was a very solid pay per view from the pre show leading up to the main event match. Notice how I phrased that. I didn't put the main event match over. Of course, the main event match had to do with Brock Lesnar, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, winner of that particular match. They get the opportunity to face Triple H for the WWE title in the main event at WrestleMania. I know some of you guys, you like to have your fixings in the order in which it came. I want to just get the bad out of the way and then just focus on nothing but the good stuff. I've got to home in on this main event match, this triple threat match that went down between Roman, Ambrose, Lesnar. First off, I love the way that the match had pretty much kicked off with Brock Lesnar dominating on both of these guys. We saw him dish out his fair share of German suplexes, followed up with F5s for both of these men. And each time we thought he did X amount of damage that was needed to just pretty much, okay, that's it. It's over and done with. We had saw the other opponent basically interfere, interrupt the 3 count pin, and basically the match continued. I lost track of the F5s. They lost me after six. I want to say maybe eight, nine, or 10 was done total. Don't quote me on that. But, what can you say about Brock Lesnar when the man comes out? I mean, that's 295 pounds of big, badass, in your face, definitely going to kick your ass muscle. That's a man's man right there in Brock Lesnar. Love him. Every time he comes out, he is fitting that bill so perfectly. Not build, bill. The bill of being a main attraction, being a special attraction. He is serving that purpose oh so well. I know we have those that maybe want to complain and say, hey, I miss the Brock Lesnar of old. I miss the Brock Lesnar that would just go in there and he would actually wrestle these people that he's facing. Is there any way we can maybe get that Brock Lesnar to come back? Honestly, he made such a great career even though he was only in the UFC for a short period of time. He made such an impact in MMA. He's just this freaking beast of a man. Honestly, you don't need that. I think if you were to go that route, it would have to be a special and a unique opponent. Kurt Angle comes to mind. That name just screams out at me. I would say Daniel Bryan, but we saw how that pretty much ended up. Best wishes to Daniel Bryan, but a Kurt Angle really screams to me. Maybe a Brock, not Brock, but a Bobby Lashley. That's a second honorable mention I would have to put in there. But no, you don't need to have a wrestling Brock Lesnar come in there just to make things entertaining. Just let him go in there, big badass daddy coming in there kicking ass. Let him do what he normally does. I loved, and this match played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out, which is basically Dean, Roman. They put their differences to the side in order to team up, bring the fight to Brock Lesnar. And then once Brock Lesnar is out of the equation, they will then focus on facing one another. And it played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out. Visually, I'm just picturing in my head. And I should have been a little bit more vocal about this. I'm going to start, especially when it comes to offering my predictions on picks and all that. Which, by the way, I don't know how you guys did. I definitely was flawless for this entire card as far as my projected winners. I did stress how I would book it, but then I made sure I brought it back full circle as far as how WWE was probably going to be setting things up going into WrestleMania. I'd like to know how you all had did with your prediction picks as well. So definitely let me know when you guys get a chance. But it visually played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out as far as the numbers game on Brock Lesnar. As far as, okay, are these guys going to do something like so devastating that Brock is going to be out of the equation for a good minute so these two men can fight? Sure enough, that's exactly what had went down. As at one point we had saw, I want to say at one point Brock was going to get a pin on Dean Ambrose. No, on Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar was going to get a pin on or something. He was distracted, and Dean Ambrose just basically came up from behind, did a low blow. And I mean, that was pretty much the momentum shift right there as Dean Roman. They pretty much brought it to Brock Lesnar. We saw this man go through two announce tables, right? The second time after he crashed and burned through it, it was like Shades of the Shield had came back those two times that they put Brock through the table. But on the second time, I really had dug the fact that they went and they grabbed parts of the announcers tables and they just laid it on Brock, just buried him under that, and then got in the ring and was trying to duke it out amongst themselves. We actually saw Dean because he couldn't help but wonder, well, who exactly is gonna like snap? Who's gonna break first? Who's gonna be like, okay, screw the friendship. Now it's mano y mano, winner takes all going to WrestleMania. And it was actually Dean who got the jump on Roman first. As I said, Brock would come to second time. I told you how that had pretty much panned out. There was a really fun spot that I loved during this match, and it kind of played up on something that I mentioned, if not this week, on last week's podcast. I had a problem with the way Dean Ambrose was somewhat presented one of the first go rounds that he came across Brock Lesnar. I was looking for him to live up to the unstable. I was looking for him to just, to quote the Prince and the Revolution song, let's get crazy, let's get nuts. And I was expecting him to just bitch slap the hell out of Brock Lesnar just to try to get inside of his head or whatever. And sure enough, we did see that spot come about in this match. And I just love it. Was really towards the beginning how Brock was just dominating on Dean Ambrose. And at one point, Dean actually comes to and he's like, give me a second. I'm trying to catch my breath. Just give me a second. And it was right after Dean broke up a pin attempt that Brock tried to do on Roman. And it was just like, oh my God, you poor man. Have you sent out your funeral arrangements yet? Because it's coming. You're going to be resting in peace in no time. And we saw Brock, he just has this shitting grin on his face. Like, I can't believe you just did that. What the hell? And as he comes closer, we just see Dean. He just slaps the living taste out of Brock Lesnar's mouth. It was a hilarious spot to see that came about right there. Now, let's really break this down. Here's where I had a problem with this match, which made the overall quality of the match down in my book. And many of you all will probably agree with me on this. It's just smart booking one on one. Okay. So we go towards the final few minutes of the match, and we see Brock Lesnar, he's in there again. He's not doing too good this go round. Somehow a steel chair gets put into the mix. Dean Ambrose has it, and he's going to work on the body of Brock Lesnar. He's also taking that same steel chair, that foreign object, and he's going to the body of Roman Reigns. And he goes back to Brock Lesnar. Brock is just like pretty much out of it. That's it for Brock. Brock somehow rolls out of the ring to lick his wounds. That's it for him. And as this is all pretty much going down, we see Roman Reigns, who hits Dean Ambrose with the spear, pretty much picks up the one, the two, the three. Roman Reigns advances to WrestleMania 32 to face Triple H for the WWE title. Now, look, this isn't ESPN. This isn't ESPN radio. I'm not going to give you and then he did this and the spinning and then, no. We're not doing all that. You want all that? Go to your favorite wrestling news site and get the play by play that way. That's a lot of reading you got to do. Or you could sign up for the WWE Network for free if you haven't done so already, and you can try to check it out that way. They recently did some updates, should help out as far as the lagging issues, freezing, for those of you that might have experienced it months prior. I don't know about you guys, but for those of you that was watching this, I just couldn't help but cringe when I saw the closing moments of that main event match, because it just made me go, okay, that was like that was not the finish that I was expecting. Very anticlimactic. It's like that's it. And honestly, and I said this on our Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show earlier this week when I was offering my picks. I said if I was given creative control and if I were to book this match, the way I would have this play out, and I said, let Brock dominate, let him do his thing. Let it look as though he's pulling in a great performance. Let it look as though maybe he's got this in the bank. But I also talked about the tag teaming and all that. But I said, just when it looks as though it's all over, let the lights go out. It's pitch black. Lights come back on. Brock Lesnar is laid out, courtesy of the Wyatt family. My whole deal was storyline continuity from the standpoint you got to go back to last month's Royal Rumble pay-per-view and remember when Brock Lesnar was in there. Remember how the Wyatt family interfered and they screwed him out of the opportunity to possibly win the Royal Rumble match. They just, you're like, oh, what the? Not only win the Royal Rumble match, but possibly become the WWE champion, I might add. So there was a lot at stake in that Royal Rumble match as the title was on the line. So I was looking, I don't know about you all, but I was looking like the night after the Rumble or a couple of weeks, sometime leading up to tonight's pay-per-view. I was looking for Brock Lesnar to come on out, call out the Wyatt family, extract some type of revenge. It didn't happen. Right down to the point we go to SmackDown from earlier this week, And my God, wouldn't you know it, Brock Lesnar, Wyatt family on the same card, but they don't cross paths. And I can totally dig it if it's a situation where WWE creative and the powers that be decided that they were going to go in a different direction creatively, but just the fact that you jumped out there like that, you still have a loophole that you need to clog. And I don't know about you guys, but I just thought that they would kind of go in that direction, and then who knows? They could either resolve things on Raw over the next couple of weeks or on SmackDown, whatever, however they want to do it. But I was looking for them to do something like that. And we didn't even get that. It was just a plain, and I don't know. I don't know if maybe they might have been thinking from the standpoint that's what fans are going to be expecting. So let's not go in that direction or what. But I could tell you if they would have just put a couple of twists and turns in there, it really would have helped out. Because as soon as this match was over, I mean, you heard the fans. What was that? They were in Cleveland, right? At the Quicken Loans Arena, boys and girls. As soon as the match was over, and like you kind of heard like a little bit of a hush of silence for just a few seconds, and then it really kind of sinked in. Wow, the match is actually over, and this is how they're going to have Roman. And you heard boos. I know we got some hardcore Roman Reigns fans and all that, but I gotta call it how I saw it. My girl was watching the event right along with me. Had the volume nice and blasting loud. I mean, there was definitely cheers. I will acknowledge that without a shadow of doubt. There were cheers, but it wasn't as dominating as it's been in previous months and previous weeks. It was definitely pretty bad. And, you can't help but wonder these people that were booing, if they were booing over the anticlimactic finish, or if they were booing because they simply just can't stand Roman Reigns, or was it a combination of both? I would love to just get that insight from the folks in Cleveland that was at tonight's pay per view event and really try to get their mindset on what all was going on. Maybe we might be able to talk to somebody and follow up later on this week on the RCWR show. But I mean, the match, definitely the first half of it, very good. But when you just have that type of a finish, it just makes the overall taste just blah. So we got the bad stuff out the way. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's kick it off with the pre-show. Now I'm going to go in order from here on out, unless something very interesting comes to mind, and I'm just going to kind of bounce off that way. But the pre-show, very, very good. I got to tell you, if you have been checking out SmackDown within the past couple of weeks, you know that we have a new SmackDown lead commentator in Mauro Ranallo, and he's just been doing a fantastic freaking job. I've been familiar with his work from over at New Japan, the 1 hour TV show that they do on Access TV. Great stuff right there. You can actually still catch up on the stuff that he did, because I know in a couple of weeks Jim Ross is going to be the new color commentator guy over there, for those of you that may not know. But if you checked out the pre-show match, you had got to hear Mauro doing his thing on commentating with Byron Saxton and JBL, as we had Callisto face Alberto Del Rio, 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE United States Championship. What can I say about this match? About 15 minutes long. We saw a very aggressive ADR come out off the gates, and his intent was just to hurt Callisto at all costs, right down to the point. We actually had saw ADR take a foreign object to the body of Callisto. This made the referee just call for the bell. I believe this had happened outside of the ring, which had made the ref call for ADR's disqualification. And of course, with that whole scenario going on, usually when you have a 2 out of 3 falls match, usually the next fall can't really happen until the two men come back to the ring, and then officially the next round begins. And we just saw ADR just continue to go to the body even after he was disqualified. Eventually, we did see him score a victory over Callisto. Callisto would actually be the one to end up picking up the W, 2 out of 3 falls match for the United States title. I was pretty damn confident that Callisto was going to come out of this still the U.S. champion. Less botches in this one. I didn't really see anything that was too alarming. That kind of made me go, that wasn't timed just right. But I'm just hoping that this is it for Callisto and ADR, because my attention span for this particular match, I really wanted to get into this. I really, really, really did. But something just is not clicking. I see with what they're trying to do with Callisto, ADR, basically ADR, Rey Mysterio. I see what they're trying to do, but it's just not gelling the same. It just doesn't have that same effect. So that's just my take. I don't know how you guys felt about that match, but that's just me. Let's go to our next match. Our next match, definitely very, very entertaining. It had kicked off the Fastlane pay per view show. We had Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. They defeated Team Bad's Naomi and Tamina. Fantastic match right there. We actually had saw Tamina tap out to the bank statement by Sasha Banks. I was quite damn pleased with all four of these women in this match. They all just really came off like they had to bring it. I like to use the old saying, they kind of came off like they had a chip on their shoulder, but I wouldn't really call it a chip on their shoulder. I just kind of felt as though with WrestleMania season just right around the corner, and just what has been happening storyline wise between these four women, it just kind of felt as though these women really wanted to go out. And maybe it was because they understood the position that they were in, because they were given a prime position where they were opening up the pay per view officially. They're not on the pre show. It's not a dark match. They are officially kicking off the pay per view. So maybe that was the extra little bit that I was picking up from all four of these girls. Notice I said all four of these girls, as even the lovely Tamina. I got to give her props. I don't know if you all are noticing, she's actually slimming down. She looks like she's lost about maybe 10 to 15 pounds. She definitely looks much lighter, looks good on her. I would imagine that's helping out the knees a little bit more, as she's been having knee problems off and on for the past several years. But even she looked good. And anybody that is a longtime listener of the show knows how critical I have been of Tamina. As I can still vividly remember when she made her debut in the WWE, I had very, very high expectations for her. And needless to say, over the years, it's gone down just significantly. But I tell you, with this match that she was in tonight, I don't know if it, and I think I'm probably answering my own question, but I'm kind of led to the impression, and I'm gonna put the question out there to you, ask you if you're picking up the same vibe I am. But I'm getting the impression that it's really been helping out Tamina to had been aligned with Sasha Banks, Naomi. It's great that she's continuing to be paired up with Naomi. It just really seems like the personality traits, she's finally letting loose a little bit. Naomi reminds me, like, earlier years leading up to now. She reminded me personality wise of somebody that was always conscious of how they looked physically. Reminded me of a person that was shy and had all these really cool ideas in their head that they wanted to put out there on paper and wanted to execute. But when it came time to do so, they kind of like always choked, maybe in fear because they wouldn't be accepted or whatever. And that's not, dude, you've been analyzing that weight. No, that's just freestyle. I usually speak whatever comes to my mind. I don't rehearse this crap. Okay. I spit it out there. I let you guys marinate on it. All right. And together we have a discussion about it. But to me, she's just always kind of seemed like she really wasn't comfortable, even in the ring. And I tell you, the past couple of weeks that I've been seeing her in there doing her things, it just seems like she's coming more and more out of her shell. It seems like she's being encouraged to, explore her personalities, explore those character traits and all that. And I like that. My whole thing is keep it coming, because it just seemed like we had got an all new, all different Tamina in just this match alone. It didn't feel like she was just taking up a spot that should like go to somebody else. I just want for her to continue to keep it going. I can't give enough praise to the way Tamina handled herself. I mean, all the girls did, but Tamina, I'm really homing in on in particular. Our next match of the year candidate, and it involves Kevin Owens once again. We came on here last month and I told you guys I'm going to start keeping track of what I consider to be match of the year candidates. That way, when it comes to WWE's next Slammies, if we don't agree with the matches that they have in the respective categories, we can easily go, well, wait a minute, what about? And boom, do it like that. But can you believe this? For the second month in a row, if I'm not mistaken, we have Kevin Owens deliver another classic encounter of a match. As this go round, he was taking on Dolph Ziggler, was taking him on for the Intercontinental Championship. For you guys that's like, well, wait a minute, Lee, what was the other match that was the match of the year candidate? It was the last man standing match that he had against oh god, was it Dean Ambrose that he had faced? Let's check, because I don't want to continue unless I called that right. Let me just make sure. I believe it was Dean Ambrose. Let's see what had happened here. Yeah, I called it right. Dean Ambrose against Kevin Owens. Yep, last man standing match, and that was at the Royal Rumble pay per view last month. Here's Kevin Owens again delivering another classic match, 5-star quality match right here. I mean, my God, you know what they really look. What we really should call this match. This match was Super Kick City. That's exactly what this match was. And if you are a fan of the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's interesting that I'm bringing them up too, and the fact that we saw nothing but super kicks that was being thrown out there all throughout this match. I'm like, damn, like is there enough super kicks in this match? I mean, both guys were bringing it, but it was like overkill on the super kicks, and I just couldn't help but chuckle and think about the Young Bucks, because they stay just, that's their thing. They stay doing that. So it's funny that I bring up the Young Bucks too, because apparently the Young Bucks, I got to do more research on it, but apparently the Young Bucks maybe are under the crosshairs of New Day or something to that effect. So I got to research that a little bit more, but it kind of seems like the two teams have been kind of going at it online in recent weeks, as well as other Bullet Club members. I remember one Bullet Club member had actually wore a New Day shirt during one of his matches at a ROH event recently. So some nice little friendly interactions that's going on with regards to that one. Kevin Owens retaining his Intercontinental Championship over Dolph Ziggler. Dolph never looked so good, man. Never looked so good. Great match. I look, enough said about that. I'm not gonna say anything more about that match. You ain't see that match, you need to go out of your way. For me, that's my match of the night. Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler. Enough said. If there's any match I had to highly encourage you to go check out, that's your match right there. Enjoy. Next up, a little bit of a sleeper match. Big Show, Kane, Ryback. They defeated the team of the Wyatt family's Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, Braun Strowman. Bray Wyatt was sitting at ringside watching all of the festivities go down. It was about a 10-minute match. What really stands out to me about this match was the performance of Ryback. I mean, Ryback was just, he was doing, my God, body suplexes after body suplexes. He was doing drop kicks. He was doing running knees to the face multiple times. I mean, he was moving like CM Punk out there. I kid you not. I kid you not. And it's funny that I mentioned CM Punk, considering what had went down supposedly with Punk and Ryback. But no, I mean, my God, it was like the fountain of youth just came out of nowhere and hit right back. Right back was just running out there, running around like he was 20 something. I mean, I was just like, what the hell did he have today? What was in his raisin bran? Because he was just out there like a madman. Best performance I've seen him to date. To date. Now, I know some people, they may kind of twist that a little bit and they may say, well, what about the match that he had against CM Punk? And no, 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 no. I'm not talking about matches. I'm talking about overall performance as an in-ring competitor. To date, he never looked any better, and I just really hope that. I tell you, he's got a great look. I think the Goldberg chance, I think that will die down in due time, especially if they can do a little bit more cool stuff with his trunk designs and all that. The shirt, the chain, the hat, all that's good. They need to do something with the tights, though. I don't know if maybe, because right now he's pushing what I think is inspired NWO type colors, because I think it says big guy on the back of his trunks. So, which I would kind of get rid of altogether. I think maybe you should have big guy in the front. I think that's a little bit more, kind of pushes the envelope just a little bit. If you really think about it, put that in the front, and maybe you can put some type of a cool. He was into the skulls at one point, wasn't he? For his little inspired RVD designs or whatever. Maybe you could do a little something like that, put that on the back of his trunks, but take the big guy, put that logo text font into the front, and I think the problem will be solved with that one. I don't know if he can still grow a full set of hair. Honestly, he looks good bald. He's got a nice shaped head. Nothing wrong with that, but I think if they do just a couple of minor tweaks here and there, they can definitely die that down. Uh, don't dye the beard. The beard should stay the same, because if you dye it black or whatever, then people are going to continue the Goldberg chants or whatever. So I know some people were like, well, maybe he needs to dye his beard. And it's like, well, what color? Well, maybe he needs to dye it black. Nah, that'll really get people saying Goldberg and all that. But Ryback, very amazed at how he performed in the match tonight. Again, big show. Kane, Ryback picking up the win. Charlotte taking on Brie Bella for the WWE Divas title. With regards to this match, I got to give a lot of praise to Charlotte, because it was really all about Charlotte. And this is my interpretation. I don't mean to piss off Bella fans and all that. I know I've done my fair share of critique, and it's just my honest opinion. It's okay if you disagree, and I just hope that if you do disagree with something that I say, we could kick back and we can have a nice, good, healthy conversation slash debate about it, right? But I got to give a lot of credit to Charlotte, because Charlotte really went into this match and she really did enough and more to really make Brie Bella come off looking very decent. Now, I've seen a lot of Brie Bella's matches over the years, and I gotta tell you, a lot of her matches, it's been one of those. Okay, it's a washroom break. Let's go take out the trash break. Think the dog needs to go potty type of break. Okay, but the little bit of offense that I did see from Brie each time she was allowed to try to string a little something together, I love. And I don't know if it was Pat Patterson that maybe was in charge of this, or whoever, but I love how when she began to build up just a nice little small chain of offense, Charlotte was always just right there, just chopping her right back down to the ground. And I like that. I like that story that they were telling, because it's like, man, like, how is Brie even gonna really stand a chance? Because here she is facing this woman that, naturally is just gifted because of who her father is. And then you can't help but wonder how much of a factor is the Nature Boy Ric Flair going to be in this match. I love the story that was told, but see, here's the thing: the longer that Brie Bella is on the offense, the more exposed she is, as far as, oh well, damn, she ain't really doing, you could kind of tell. So she takes bumps very well when it comes to her being on the defense. She does that very well. I remember there was like a six spot, I think it was outside of the ropes, and something weird happened where Brie ended up rolling out of the ring, and just the way she fell, it was like, ooh, damn, because you heard the, you're like, damn, is she okay? Did she really hurt herself? What's going on right there? I mean, she knows how to sell on those bumps. Pick it up in the final seconds of the match. We actually had saw Brie, and this is where we had a really serious momentum swing. Brie Bella had tried to look for a drop kick off of the top rope. Charlotte was able to somewhat move out the way. I think a little bit of it had connected. I can't really recall, but I do remember Brie tweaked her knee as a result of that drop kick, and Charlotte was pretty much able to take advantage after that. Closing moments of the match, we actually had Saul Bree try to apply half Boston Crab leg lock on to Charlotte, and we had saw Charlotte. She managed to kind of strong leg her way out of it. Actually, no, no, no. It was a combination of Charlotte being able to kind of strong leg her way out of it, but also because of Brie having that weak leg, she eventually had let go. And after that, Charlotte just went in for the kill, did the figure eight. That was pretty much it. Charlotte won by submission to retain her Divas title. I know there's probably a lot of Bella fans out there. Bella Nation Army was really looking forward to seeing Brie Bella get the title and all that. Honestly, I think it's a good move that they did with having Charlotte retain the title. If there's one thing that just kind of rubs me the wrong way, to each its own, and I seriously doubt anybody is going to say this on their own respected show, but I think when Brie and Daniel made their media rounds and not give the skinny to the WWE and all that for a network interview special or whatever. Which, by the way, brings me to another point. It really would have made a lot of sense for Stone Cold Steve Austin to interview Daniel Bryan. I mean, that had went down what on Monday night. Really would have been awesome had we had Daniel Bryan in the hot seat and everything could have came out that way. I don't know who's in charge of the whole marketing department, trying to figure out who Stone Cold needs to be interviewing and all that. But it's like, if there was ever a time for you to like get your brand talked about, get the WWE network talked about, this is the best deal for 9.99, blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, 1 week after Daniel Bryan announces his retirement, have him exclusively be talking to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then have him do his media rounds after that. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because during some of the media rounds that Daniel Bryan and Brie had did, one in particular that jumps out at me is the one they did, I believe, for Good Morning America, where Brie talked about how she had witnessed Daniel having the seizures, and she wasn't sure what was going on. And after everything had got calm and everything got squared away and his episodes were over, he pleaded with her to not tell anybody, don't go to management, things of that nature. And it led to a very interesting discussion between me and my friends. I don't know how it was for you and your friends or your family, but it was one of those situations where, okay, well, do you keep your mouth shut and risk something very seriously, like becoming worse as a result of being silent, of not disclosing that information to the employer? Or Do you just keep going out of love and respect to that person? Like, because you're playing Russian roulette when it's all said and done. And for me personally, don't get me wrong, would have been a great feel good moment to have Brie be in that situation where she wins the title. She wins it for her husband. She wins it for her sister. It would have been a really good feel moment, no doubt about that. I love those good feel moments, especially when it comes to having the fans walk away and they walking away with really good feel moments that they could talk about, stuff that they can reminisce about for years to come or whatever. But I just think when you really just look at it from a full spectrum standpoint, as far as that sensitive information that she sat on of Daniel having the seizures, and I'm led to the impression she also had to do about the concussions, it's kind of like I think it would have sent the raw message to have her win the belt, and it's kind of like, damn, she did all, because that was a huge liability. Not to mention, she already let it be known that later this year she's going to be retiring. Even more the reason, even if I were to just for you guys say, hey Lee, do you have to bring? Okay, I can put that to the side. Let's go with the next one. Just the fact that she mentioned that she's going to be done with the WWE, what you say by summer or a little bit before summer, it's like you're leaving anyway. Let's go focus on like the next batch of twins, which, from what I understand, they already have just waiting in the works right now. But great match between Charlotte Brie Bella. Got to give a lot of props to Charlotte. She really did a hell of a good job in protecting Brie Bella as far as her offense goes. AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, match three. Man, I didn't think these guys. This is my second match of the night, and this is actually off of this pay per view card. This would be my second match of the year nominee. So if you keep it track, I don't already name three matches that should be match of the year candidates. For me, the first one was good. Don't get me wrong. The first AJ Styles Chris Jericho match, great encounter. The second one, it topped what they did in the first one. But for me, this final act, it was just better than the other two. I loved it. Now that these guys had been exposed to one another and they worked with one another previous times, there's no telling if maybe they might have worked at house shows. I haven't really seen people talk about house shows in a minute, as far as like the wrestling sites and all of that. Seems to be something that's kind of like, I don't know. I guess people are now cherry picking when they want to cover the house shows, but this was a really good encounter. It was more fine tuned. It was more polished. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the pace. It didn't really, with regards to the pace for this one, it was more now that they had got familiar with one another. It was more bop, 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 bop. Whereas before, like the first go round, it was kind of like bop, 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 bop. Second go round, it was bop, 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 bop. But this one, it was bop, 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 bop. It was like they were really connecting, and the pace was just picking up, and I like that. I like that a whole lot. I know there were some guys that were like, these middle-aged guys going at it, and it's like, well, you freaking go out there and see if you can do that at their age. See if you can get the cardio and all that in play, and see if you can get that going. Most of us be like, shh. I know my ass. I'd do it. I would do it. I'd go in there. I might, screw up and mess up a little bit, but I would gladly go in there and do it. Somebody said Lee Sanders versus the Undertaker. No, that ain't happening. How about Undertaker versus Abe Vigoda, or the corpse of Abe Vigoda? That'd be that'd be an interesting one right there. But no, this was a really good match. Fantastic. Enjoyed the hell out of it. Great back and forth story that these two guys had. This would definitely be the second match out of the entire Fastlane card. I would recommend you go out of your way to check out. Closing moments of the match, we had saw Chris Jericho get put in a Styles clash, which did connect. AJ Styles did connect. He tried to go for the pin. Jericho kicked out. AJ Styles is like, what the hell do I do? And just, as far as crowd reactions and all that, I would definitely have to say, as far as crowd reactions go, Owens, Owens definitely got the reactions. AJ Styles, the AJ Styles Jericho match was weird because when AJ first came out, you really didn't hear that much of an overwhelming ovation for him. And it was kind of weird because I actually had put a tweet out and I was like, hey guys, like, is it just me or does it really kind of seem like AJ Styles didn't really get a reception when he came out? And some of you all were like, yeah, actually, but we all were kind of quick to notice that as the match progressed and the fans were just really getting into this, didn't sound piped in at all. I'd be actually kind of shocked to hear if it was piped. But the crowd started getting into it. They were going, let's go AJ, let's go Jericho. Great back and forth. We saw AJ Styles, as I mentioned, right after he did the Styles clash, Jericho kicked out. AJ Styles, he's like, what the hell do I do now? And we just saw the fans, they were just kind of like groaning because they're like, oh man, Jericho kicked out. What? It's like, who kicks out of the Styles clash was kind of like the way they sounded. Because if you've been watching AJ Styles, especially when he was tearing it up in New Japan, he might have that new song that he's got now in the WWE, but when he was breaking people's necks, I had that man coming out to Busta Rhymes, "Break Your Neck." I was hoping that's what he would come out to. That that's just me. You don't know how that song goes. Look it up when you get done with this. But when we saw AJ Styles, he said, "Okay, I got to go for the calf killer," and that's the new submission hold that he's doing. And sure enough, Jericho tapped out. Jericho made AJ Styles look like a million freaking bucks. I was surprised that the number of you guys that actually had went against AJ Styles, thinking that Jericho was gonna win this final encounter. No, 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 my pretty babies. AJ Styles needs all the momentum that he can get. Now comes the $1 billion question: what's next for AJ Styles? Just looking and thinking about the WrestleMania card. Yeah, I don't know. Do you maybe have him face Callisto for the United States title, or do you maybe have him? I'm just looking and thinking about the card right now. Kevin Owens, he's talking about KO Mania and all that. Like, do you maybe give AJ Styles a WrestleMania moment? Do you maybe have AJ Styles and Kevin Owens clash? I mean, that sounds like freaking money right there, quite honestly. For those of you that's like, well, why not another Jericho Styles match? Not the way it ended. Post match, after AJ Styles picked up the victory, we saw Chris Jericho. He was pretty pissed off that he lost, but we saw him extend his hand out, and AJ Styles shook it, and that was pretty much it. To me, that definitely had signaled the end of their respective feuds. So I don't know. I mean, there's a couple of different directions that they could go. I mean, do you maybe do a triple threat match for the Intercontinental title? Do you maybe go with Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, AJ Styles, or do you maybe have AJ Styles take on Dolph Ziggler, or Tyler Breeze? He's in dire need of. Do you maybe have that would work out fairly well? I think a Tyler Breeze AJ Styles program where what's his finisher, the beauty shot or whatever. I mean, that would kind of be interesting program right there. Well, I mean, what do you guys think? What would you like to see happen to AJ Styles next? Sound off, let me know. But great match right there. That is my other match of the night. We did see some weak stuff on this card that could have been saved for an edition of WWE Raw, as we had saw the Cutting Edge, which was hyped up and all that good stuff. Yes, the club is coming. It is coming. Default name You gotta change your name. How you gonna call yourself default name? Come on, default. That was default on YouTube. He said the club is coming. Hashtag the club is coming. Yes, they are coming. No doubt about that. Uh, Cutting edge peep show. Great stuff. New Day, all that was awesome. New Day ripping into the League of Nations. Just great chemistry that New Day had with Edge and Christian. I mean, they were just really going back and forth. They were holding their own very well. I love the part where Christian brings up the fact that, hey, New Day, you guys, you basically ripped off of us. You basically changed awesomeness to booty. And instead of coming out wearing big sunglasses and coats, you guys come out to unicorn horns over your head, and you're coming out to a horn. And I like how they basically say you guys dropped your old gimmick so fast. It was just like when Kofi dropped his Jamaican accent. Now it's just like, wow, the fact that they acknowledged that was, and to hear the Cleveland crowd erupt in laughter over that was great, because it was like, great, this audience, they remember that. I loved it. Speaking of which, the crowd overall, a lot of matures in the crowd tonight. There was definitely a lot of, I saw a lot of 30-year olds and up. It looked like, oh, let me downgrade that a little bit, 20-year olds and up. I definitely saw a few people with families and all that, but it was kind of like one of those, these were definitely the type of wrestling fans that have been watching the WWE product for many years now, maybe 10 years or more. So just the fact that they were able to, and it wasn't like you heard a couple of people go ha ha ha. I mean, it was the fact that you heard like pretty much 75% of the crowd take in that moment and react to it. It's like, great, they know about that. That's awesome. We did see the League of Nation eventually come out. They were looking to have New Day uh, stop all their hazing and all that, and get to fighting. We actually saw them back out of the ring. Edge and Christian, they would soon follow, as League of Nations was saying. It's now you guys' turn to get out of the ring. Edge and Christian, they're like, hey, you can't touch us. And they were like, okay, well, if that's the case, even more the reason why you need to get out of the ring, or else we will touch you. And they got out. And what was the thing that they said at the end? I'm trying to think. Edge and Christian, they said, we were going to grace the fans with our classic 5-second pose or whatever. And they were like, instead, we present to you the WWE Universe, the League of Dumbasses, or something like that. And that was a great moment. Of course, they were out there plugging their new show, Edge, Christian. I don't know. I every time I think of their show, like the name of it, I think of Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job, or whatever. That's just how it kind of comes off to me. I'll check that out though, and I'll have an honest review for that this Tuesday night for you guys. Also, we saw another silly match. Well, not silly, but it was kind of like a, dude, this really need to be on the card. This could have been on Raw. Curtis Axel, he defeated R Truth with a little bit of help from I guess you could say he got a little bit of help from Goldust, because we saw our truth. He went into this match saying, okay, so basically it's not really one on one. It's basically me fighting four of you guys, because the rest of you all are going to be causing distractions to the ref. Okay, whatever. Our truth, to his credit, was handling himself pretty well. But then Goldust came out and he managed to distract the referee. Looked as though it was helping out our truth for a little bit. And then we had saw two more of the social outcast members get on the ropes. Meanwhile, we had saw Heath Slater. He went over to Goldust, and Goldust pretty much took care of him. We had saw our truth make quick work of the other social outcast members that were on top of the apron. Referee trying to get control and all that. Long story short, referee gets distracted as Goldust is fighting Adam Rose, rolls him into the ring. Our truth, he kind of sees Rose coming out the corner of his eye. He hops over Rose, and then Curtis Axel comes up from behind him, gets a roll up, handful of tights, jeans, picks up the W that way. Post match, Go Dust, just just so you felt bad for the poor guy because he's like, hey man, I was just trying to help you out, and Truth just looked pretty pissed off. Looks like as far as these two guys getting together, the Golden Truth, is that what is being called? It looks like that's not officially happening just yet. I wonder if that's maybe going to be a WrestleMania moment or whatever. Who knows? But overall, I'd have to say tonight, Fastlane, it gets a pass. It gets a pass. It definitely gets a pass. Got no problem with it. Okay, now here's the thing: when you guys post comments on YouTube, let's see, blah 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 blah. Shout out to Tron. Tron, I understand you have a lot to say about the show. I'll tell you what you can do, and anybody else that wants to comment on what they saw about the pay per view tonight. You can do a couple of things. You can either get my attention on Twitter at the RCWR Show, or you can leave, if you have Facebook, you can go on over to Infinity One Productions. That's with an E, spell out one. You can go there. You can leave your thoughts on the Fast Lane pay per view that way. The next best thing, and I've been encouraged to really try to hype this up a little bit more because some of you guys are like, hey, it'd be cool if you go to our website, infinityoneproductions.com. This time, you do that with an E, put in the actual number one, right? Infinityoneproductions.com. You'll see the RCWR show voicemail tab in the upper right hand corner. Make your point in 90 seconds. Tell me what you liked, disliked about it. If you feel you weren't able to make your point in 90 seconds, you can do a part two. I don't want to be listening to a series of messages. Each one of you guys can get two 90-second messages max, and I'll actually play that for you guys on our Tuesday night show because I will be giving afterthoughts to what had went down with Fastlane. You know how we do it. Usually, I'll come back on our Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show and say, okay, now that the pay per view has come and gone, it's been about almost 3 days or whatever. This is how I feel. We can kind of go from there. But for those of you that don't want to do all that, and maybe you're checking this out via YouTube, rather than comment every single second, I recommend that you just wait until the discussion is over. Take your time, stay calm, get your thoughts together, and then just do one message. I'll actually read it. I have no problem reading it. Speaking of which, now that we've got this out the way, we've got WrestleMania right around the corner. And, I got to tell you guys, we put out a poll, and I got to say this before we wrap up the show. There's a poll that is out right now where I'm asking you if you would like to see, for just one night only, me and my old broadcast partner Titus Machiavelli reunite to specifically just talk about WrestleMania 32. Now, so far, a little bit over 60% of you guys said yes, long overdue. We want to see you guys get together. I know not everybody has Twitter though, because that's where we first had released it. So if you don't have the Twitter, you don't have the Facebook, go on over to my website right now, infinityoneproductions.com. That's with an E, put in the actual number one, and you'll see it. You'll know it when you'll see it. You'll see the little picture in the on the website of me and Titus and WrestleMania. Just click on it, cast your vote. That poll is going to be open, as well as the Twitter poll. I actually pinned it to the very top of my tweet. That's like the first tweet that you see if you're following me on Twitter. You can cast your vote that way. But if you don't do the Twitter, you don't do the Facebook, go to the website. On the website, the poll will remain open until next Sunday. That is Sunday, February 28th. It'll be open all the way up until then. I think the poll that's on Twitter right now is going to be expiring, I want to say in maybe a couple of days. I want to say, I'm not really sure, but get out there, cast a vote. Everything will be tallied up, and I'll have the final results of the polls just in general. I'm just going to add all the numbers up. We'll have the final results on the March 1st edition of the RCWR show. Like I said, those problems with the Brock Lesnar match and all that, that was just really kind of, I think I summed that up perfectly. I think with regards to the other matches, with the exception of the Curtis Axel R Truth, which we really could have left off of the card. In all honesty, I thought WWE did a really good job with Fastlane. Definitely gave us a little bit of a preview as far as what's to come. Let's not forget, we now know Roman Reigns is going to be taking on Triple H for the WWE title. So we know that main event match, but should be interesting. We got 45 days to go to see how the rest of the WrestleMania card is going to be shaping up. Meantime, I want to hear from you guys. So get out there, be active. I want to know what you thought about the pay per view, what you liked, disliked, things of that nature. One more time to Tron. It's easy to find us on Facebook, Infinity One Productions. You put in the E, you make sure you spell out one, Infinity One Productions. You can also go to our main channel if you're checking this out here on YouTube. If you just go to our main landing YouTube page and you click on About, you'll actually see all the links and all the links you need. It'll take you, boom, right there. And yeah, so that's going to do it, guys. All right, so I'm going to shut this bad boy down. We will be back Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com. That's this Tuesday night, February 23rd. We'll talk about WWE Raw, TNA, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground. You know how we do it over there. And of course, the stuff in between. I got a private message asking if I could talk about Walking Dead. I'll definitely talk about Walking Dead. I'll also talk about Better Call Saul for you guys because I know some of you all do love Better Call Saul. So we'll do that for you guys. But that's going to do it. Thank you guys for checking out this stream. Do me a huge favor if you're checking this out via Spreaker, click that little heart icon. It's a little like thing. Click on that. Google Plus, retweet. If you're checking this out on YouTube, definitely show the love, hit the like. And I want to do this one way, just overall. Let's do something fun with the like dislike system. If you've made it to this point, do this. If you liked the Fastlane pay per view, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the Fastlane pay per view, give it a thumbs down. And we'll kind of calculate it that way. We'll see who's paying attention when we do it like that. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. All right, guys, I'm going to shut this down. And Spreaker audience, I definitely want you all to stick around for a little bit. But YouTube, we will say goodnight to you guys. Thanks for joining us.